Ni wern narik dien, wadarang aktanuk, makbarian wadarang bagaruk, manamaith mirabea, nailinga wadarang bake, karingarabu bunjo the eagle, wa the crow, kimbani ba Deanne Gilson. Welcome to Wadarang Country.
Live from Wadarang Country, welcome to Lance TV. Coming to you from the palatial New Camp Street Studios in Ballarat, get ready to laugh, think, love and sparkle. And now, it's time to turn that camp dial all the way up to fabulous. Here's your host, the multi-award-winning Lance-tastic, Lance de Boyle.
So I've been doing this for a little while because I realise that when I stand on the edge of the stage, my feet disappear. So I'm just showing you I've got feet. Welcome to Lance TV. I am Lance de Boyle and we're coming to you live from Wadarang Country here in Ballarat, the resting place of Bunjil the Eagle. Welcome to the show. We have another jam-packed hour for you. So please, pull up a drink and sip on your sofa. Come and sit down, come and listen to me rant for a while. Oh, what a week it's been. I hope you've been well. If you are tuning in for Ben TV, you're a little early, but stick around. We're also an LGBTIQA+ show. So I think the thing that sticks in my head the most this week is the UK election. I think the thing that sticks in my head the most this week are a world of angry TERFs because things are changing and not in their direction. So I'm very happy that TERFs are not getting ahead in all of this. And for those of you who are watching, we hope you are the same. Cheryl, our floor manager, just made one of these signs on the floor, which was great to see in the corner of my eye. But the world is really kind of, I don't know, the world's going a bit crazy, but we're glad that there is a Labor government in the UK and we're very happy that's driving certain people in the world a little bit nuts, like a certain storybook writer who came from nothing and now is a multimillionaire and just really hating on other people. So hooray for that. Talking about hooray, we have a wonderful guest on the show tonight. Without further ado, we're going to introduce the one, the only, Tariro Mapfumo. Darling! Mwah, mwah. Oh, please, sit down.
Thank you so much, Lance.
Oh, you're looking amazing. Who are you wearing?
I don't know. I have no clue.
No. But you're wearing it well.
I'm wearing it well, thank you.
Did you find the place okay?
Yes, the parking was also easy to find. I was very worried because I always struggle with parking every time I go to different places, but it was easy and loving the place.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, a little bit for our guests. Let's have a little tiny bit of history on why you are on our wonderful show this evening.
All right, that's a very good question. I am keen to share about foster carers and the need for foster carers in Ballarat and across the state. And that's why I'm here today.
Amazing. Yeah. That's very cool. Thank you for choosing us and being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being had.
This is going to be amazing.
It's going to be a load of fun. Yeah. Load of fun. When, because I'm all right to call you Tari?
Yes, that's great.
So when Tari arrived, I kind of found out where Tari was from and automatically just went, because let's reenact it. It's like, oh, hello, Tariro. How are you?
Hello. Good to meet you, Lance.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Your name, are you from Zimbabwe?
How did you know?
Oh, and then I went, get ready. Actually, can we have this on Tari, please? I said, oh, what is Kanjan? And then I said, Mushe.
I was shocked. I was still processing because I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at you. I don't think you're from Zimbabwe, but you're saying Kanjani, which means how are you? and you're saying mushe, which means I'm going great. So I was left wondering if I was actually talking to a Zimbabwean.
Yeah. But
that was, well, I have adopted you into.
Hey, there we go.
You are technically Zimbabwean now by adoption.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it was wonderful. It was
That's
just
all right,
wonderful.
your place.
Yes,
we'll get in there. We'll get in there and get
just hearing you say it, and it took me back to my country of origin. So that was lovely.
Welcome to Lance TV, Tari.
Thank you.
In this part of the show, we've got a little pre-record. The pre-record is the Lance TV Artist Corner, and the artist is actually a machine tonight. In fact, it is called Fontella the Zine Machine. When we come back, we will have a wonderful interview with our new friend Tari right after this.
So my name's Siobhan Finn, and I run this project with Tegan Crosby. Basically, it's a zine vending machine that's located at Berkeley Square, Ballarat.
Hi, my name's Tegan Crosby. I have a studio here at Berkeley Square where Fontella is situated, and I did a lot of the restoration on the project. So we found Fontella in, where was it? Pakenham. And so we drove there, picked her up, and she was in fairly good condition but needed a little bit of TLC. So I took her home, gave her a big clean, changed some of the mechanisms so that they worked a little bit better, with Siobhan's help, who designed all of the logos and graphic design. We added some casters on the bottom so that Fontella can be moved around a lot easier than lugging a giant big box. What else did we do?
We also have Dot.
Oh yes. So Dot is our baby sister of Fontella. She's a tabletop vending machine, which is quite rare. So she is sort of half the size, at least, of Fontella, and we take her to festivals and zine functions like Festival of the Photocopier. So she comes, she's much easier to transport. Much the same restoration was required with her.
Essentially, we just showcase a huge range of zines, particularly from regional creatives, but also from people further afield, like in Melbourne, and we even have some interstate artists featured. Bria and Evie actually got into making zines and into the showcase partly through workshops that we ran through the National Gallery of Victoria Art Book Fair. So Tegan ran one to do with collage, and I ran one for the Ballarat Youth Services, and the NGV one was more for a collaborative zine, which is still to come, which we'll release at Zine
So these guys, Ian J. Baker, they have been doing watercolour classes with me and were introduced to zine making through myself and created two zines. It's actually, there's one in there and then there's another one behind that are all about looking after monstera plants and the troubles that they've had with keeping them alive.
Lachlan Healy is a local writer and editor, and we're really excited to have some kind of comic book style stuff coming into the zine machine too, so we're hoping that might encourage other comic book writers to get involved too.
This is my zine here called Therapy Dog, and it is actually about my therapy dog Blazer, who's just down here. And this zine I created to explain the benefits of having a wellness pet or companion pet. Blazer does a lot of work with, hello Blazer, say hi, a lot of work with school students and in my studio. So I thought I'd make a zine that explained the benefits of having a therapy dog.
So my zine is called Mental Block. I actually created it when I was experiencing a mental block, where I had a project that I needed to get done. I had 3 artworks that I needed to finish off for the Incognito art show, and I think I was just putting too much pressure on myself, so I just did some silly doodling on my iPad and then came up with a poem, and it became this zine, and it kind of got me out of my block, and I managed to send the artworks off. So it's kind of I'm hoping other people will be able to relate to it in the sense of like, okay, I'm not the only one that kind of goes through that. We have a blog and social media, so if you're on Instagram, we're at Fontella_the_zine_machine. Every couple of months we put up a shout out where people apply via a Google form, and they just put in the details of what they want to do. It can be an old zine that they've created or something brand new. Occasionally we have themes as well, but more recently we're sticking with the open theme so people can really lean into their niche interests. And yeah, people can come in, everything costs $2. She's a very vintage gal, so you know, there's a satisfying clunk when you get to use her, and that kind of lo-fi aspect is also kind of part of the charm of the project.
If you're interested in participating, email us at lance.artist.corner@gmail.com.
So there you go. That was very exciting. What did you think of that machine, Tari?
It's very interesting. I'm keen to get my hands on it and explore a little bit as well. I like the dog therapy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Book, yeah.
Do you, have you read many zines? Do you know about zines?
No, I haven't. So this would be interesting.
It's for us, courtesy of Dr. Sophie, who's driving tonight. We've learned a lot about zines here. I didn't really know much about them either, but through Dr. Soph, because she looks after that segment, and so she'll go off and find artists. But there's been a lot of information about zines coming in. It's like, that's pretty exciting.
Well, I have to educate myself.
Yeah,
I definitely have to. I'll probably ask you, Lance, after the show.
Well, we can talk about it now. Pretty much all it is somebody will work on a A4 piece of paper, and they'll fold it into a certain way that it becomes like a quarter of its size, and they might pick a subject on the colour blue, and then throughout the whole zine it'll be just talking about blue and the different blues, and the ocean's blue and the sky's blue, all of this. Somebody else might do one on cats. You know, it just depends on what the interest is. So that machine at Berkeley Square is just full of zines, and you just go and put $2 in it, and away
then
you go.
Twist it, and then you get your zine out.
That's right.
I'm interested.
Yeah. Well, it'd be a nice way. It's a really nice way of information sharing.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Wow,
because
thank you.
I've learned something, so that's good.
Wow, there you go. As long as we're all learning something. Hello to everybody on Facebook as well. If you're watching us and you would like to send a message to Tari for me to read out, you can find us on Lance TV Ballarat on Facebook. That's where we're sending our images out from today. And there's already one message here from us saying testing, because it took ages. It literally took ages before it was live on Facebook. So, but yeah, if you've got any questions along the way, you'd like to pass comments and tell me what a good sort I am, you know, that's all right too. And yeah. Welcome back, Channel 31. You're watching Let's TV. I am Lance de Boyle, and I'm here with the very lovely Tariro Mapfumo.
Thank you, Lance.
Ah, fantastic. Now, this is the part of the show where we begin the interview.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think I am ready.
Are you sure?
I hope so.
Yeah, so do I. It's sounding like consent. It's sounding like consent.
I think I'm ready.
Fantastic.
Fire away.
So for 7 years we've been doing this show, and for 7 years our first question is always, where were you born?
Not many people have asked me that question, so it's going to be interesting. How much do you want to know? Look, I was born in Zimbabwe, and it's in the southern part of Africa, in a small little town called Chitungwiza Seke. and in a small little clinic called Seka Clinic. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
You're one of 6 children in your family?
Yes,
And you're the youngest?
I am the youngest, yeah. I've got my sister and 4 brothers in between, and then I'm the youngest, yeah.
Amazing. Now, your name, which is part of what I learned about before we went live tonight.
Yeah.
Tariro
Yes.
Mapfumo.
Yes.
Tell us the story of your name.
All right. So my name, Tariro, actually means, Tariro in English is hope. So Tariro is Shona. It's a language in Zimbabwe, one of the languages in Zimbabwe, and it actually means hope. And I've got a middle name, by the way. My middle name is Fisosami, so it's Indebele, so it's called, it actually means my desire or my wish. So what actually happened is my parents had my sister and had my my brothers, and I must believe they were looking forward to having me, because somehow, they gave me that name because they were hopeful and they had a desire. So it really holds a special place in my heart. It's not just a name, like I just really reflect on it a lot, because hope is such a big word, and especially in the world that we're living, where people live in a space of hopelessness, just to be able to think that there is hope is amazing. So I really appreciate, now that I'm older, I really appreciate that name and the meaning and the value for it, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're right, like I sort of started the show tonight talking about hooray for the UK government, because there's a lot of people out there who are quite nasty, and maybe with a new government that can sort of sweep some of those nasty people out of the way. So it is about hope.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we've got really at the end of the day, isn't it?
That's what we hold on to, I think, yeah. That's what gets us up every day, is that sense of hope that it's going to be a good day. We're going to achieve something. We fight for things and we advocate for things because we have hope that our passion and our advocacy will bring results. And I think that's why I appreciate it now more than before. Like when I was young, it didn't mean anything much to me. But as I grew older, there's a lot of self-reflection and just putting everything into context in the world we're living. I really appreciate it. And it gives me hope, as a person. It gives me so much hope, and it comes from the name, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. We know you best in Ballarat as somebody who is of service in our community.
Yeah.
What is your first memory of being service to someone?
I thought about it, and the person that came to my mind was my grandmother. When I was little, when I was young, every school holiday, or mostly Christmas and those big significant holidays, we used to go to the rural areas, so where my grandparents lived. And I saw how hard my grandmother would work in the fields, because we used to, when we visited her, we used to go and manually, dig, when we were planting stuff, not with fancy machines or anything like that. And what really inspired me from my grandmother, where I felt the need to give service to her or to help, was even though I was coming from the city, coming to the rural areas, you would think that we would be the ones bringing all the goodies. But when we got there every time, she had a little hut, that she would keep plants from the previous seasons, and she would carefully pack things for us. And we had goodies, like traditional goodies. And every time she made sure they were available. So I was quite driven. So every time I went to the field, I remember one time I did a huge patch. And I think it came from the fact that I want to do it for her, because she does so much for us, And it might be a small thing, like it might look, from others when they look at it, oh, it's just small goodies like corn and round nuts and peanuts and pumpkins, just storing them. But for me, when I looked at that, I saw love and I wanted to give that back as well. So I think that would be my grandmother. Her name was Modesta. So, yeah.
And what does Modesta mean?
I have no clue. And it's actually surprising because I wondered what her parents, the idea behind her name. I never got the chance to actually ask her because I didn't think it mattered at that point. But now, I think that's something that after this show, because you've asked me this question, I will try and find out what that name means. Yeah.
Because also before the show too, you were saying that your mother and father were actually from two different tribes. So there was the Shona side of things.
And the Ndebele, yeah. So it's interesting because at that time, I don't know how they did it, but they were actually not allowed to intermarry because of tribal differences and tribal wars that were happening. So my mom comes from the Ndebele tribe and my dad from the Shona tribe. But what is amazing is what I've learned through them, love conquers all. It's, you just can't help but love. So yeah, so they did marry. And that's why when I introduced my two names, I've got one, which is Tariro, which means hope. It's Shona. And then I've got Sfiso Sami, which is my desire, my wish, which is Ndebele. And I think I've also learned to embrace both cultures. And I absolutely love to learn all of this. And I've embraced and I use it for myself as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that beautiful journey through your early life. We need to go for a short break now. When we come back, we will have some more of the lovely Tariro Mapfumo. I knew I wasn't going to get it right at some point.
You're doing so good. You're doing well.
Thank you so much. You're so kind. And we'll be back right after this short break. So on top of that, though, there's also your last name, which translates to spear.
Spears, yes. Again, interesting because you actually knew that before I walked in. So, I have to be. Next time I think I'll try and beat you at your game. But yes, you're so right. You're so right. Mapfumo means spears, and it's interesting. What I didn't mention when we caught up earlier on is I also carry a totem. So in our cultural groups, everyone has a totem. So my totem is eland, which is an animal.
It's like a gazelle, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like that exactly. It's quite elegant, it's beautiful. And it also means that traditionally, anyone who has the same totem is technically my brother or sister. So I can't even marry them, because it's like a relative. So that's an interesting part of the culture as well that I didn't mention earlier on. Yeah.
It's amazing. So there's really complex relationships to be had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember, because I've worked remotely in Australia, and I forget now, but working remotely, and there's some very complex ways that Aboriginal people also made sure that people that shouldn't marry didn't marry.
Yes.
And it was beautiful and ornate and really logical. Like we don't know about that living in the cities, but it's interesting to know that there's a similar thing happening in Africa as well.
It just means that you've got this extended wide of family. So everyone is going to be an auntie or uncle or whoever because you might share the same totem. So it is amazing, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And just out of curiosity,
yes,
are there creation stories that you're aware of? Without really going into them, I'm just totally curious. The Aboriginal communities right across Australia, I think originally there was 360 different tribes in Australia.
Yeah.
But each tribe would have a creation story of how things come to be.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to see how much might be similar in ways.
I think they are. great.
Welcome back. You're watching Let's TV. I'm Lance Boyle, and we're here with Tariro Mapfumo. There we go.
You got it right.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better. It's and I'm. Thank you for being so elegant about that. It's I think Westerners aren't used to certain consonants sitting next to each other so closely sometimes.
You're doing so well, by the way.
Thank you so much. You're too kind. So in when you were in Zimbabwe,
Yes.
you found yourself working in the banking sector.
Yes, I was working in the banking industry, doing finance, pensions, reconciliations. So I worked for Old Mutual and I worked for Agribank. So that helped process loans for small farmers and even large-scale farmers as well. That's prior to coming to Australia.
In 2006.
I made my way.
So this is something I didn't ask you before the show. What was the thing that sort of went, oh yeah, I'm leaving Zim, I'm going to go to Australia?
To Australia.
What was
That's
that
a very
moment?
good question. I actually think it was just the opportunity, spreading my wings and looking for greener pastures. And I think that was one of the big things as well. It was hard to leave my family behind, that whole extended family that we're talking about. But I knew that there were opportunities that I would get, and there were things that were in line with my areas of expertise that I was keen to explore and continue in a different world, in a different country, and Australia was the right place,
Amazing. So you arrived in Australia,
Yes.
New South Wales.
Yes.
You got into the banking sector there.
Yes, I continued. So I basically continued the work that I was doing in Zimbabwe. So I had the opportunity to work for Commonwealth Bank. They've got a subsidiary, which is Colonia First State. So I was working there, reconciliations, doing investments and, the superannuation, all that stuff. And I worked there for a couple of years. Loved it because I understood it. It was work that I was already doing when I was in Zimbabwe.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Life changed for you though. There was an epiphany that happened. You had a child. You found yourself in Centrelink going, I'm going to sign up for the baby bonus because that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
And there was a moment there that really changed the world, wasn't there?
Yeah, lots of people maybe sometimes don't remember their aha moments, but I certainly can say in terms of, my career and not just my career, my life service, I remember exactly my aha moment, 2009 in August, and I was holding my little one as I went into Centrelink to just register. They used to have what is called baby bonus back in those days, which was an income tested. So I walked in confidently, getting to sign up, and I remember overhearing a conversation that just happened with somebody else who was seeking service, and it broke my heart. And I think there was a part of me that really didn't, or maybe wasn't anticipating to see people that were in need in a first world country.
Do you want to share a little bit of what that story was about?
Yeah, I think this person was trying to register for a service, just trying to explain for their situation, trying to highlight that they couldn't get a job. But then their payment was stopping as well because they probably hadn't done enough interviews or done some work to just highlight that they're making active effort to find a job or something in those lines. And it was heartbreaking because it was the voice, of the person that was, that was advocating for themselves, saying, I really need this. And when I thought about it, in my mind, I just thought this could be somebody's sister, brother, friend, auntie, uncle, could be somebody's person. And it doesn't seem like there's hope. I go back to my name again. But they seemed quite desperate, as if they were in a state of hopelessness which is a very hard space to sit in. And I said, and I reflected, and I got served, and I registered, and I did everything that I needed to do. But as I walked out, I made a decision right there that I would want to change my career. I would want to move from the financial world to community service, so that I could be there to serve others and serve people that were vulnerable and in need. And I did exactly that. I walked out and I went straight, and everyone thought, oh, she's crazy. How could you do that? How could you make that decision? But, you know, I did. I signed up and I registered for TAFE. And I did my community service, and I remember asking my teachers to just give me all the work that needed to be done because my maternity leave finished. So I had to go back to work. Still needed to pay rent, so I had to go back to work. And I remember getting a phone call a couple of months later, and they said, you need to come for the graduation because you were the best student. So, and I got an award, which, you know, I'm super humbled, grateful, because I'm sure there were so many deserving people. But for me, it was a sign that I was taking I was a step into the right direction. You know, I needed to work in a place where I could serve others that needed that. So, just kept going. I ended up just doing my degree with Charles Sturt University.
Well, you got a bachelor's degree
yes.
in social science.
Social science, yes.
But you didn't stop there.
No, it did not stop there.
You pushed the card a bit more, and you got a master's degree in
public health.
In public health.
Yes, it was. I think the passion kept growing, and I think what happens is when you start working in community service, there's so many different areas within community service, and I remember a time where I could not place to see where do I want to land, but I knew that I needed to be in this space. And and I'm so happy that I made that decision because, you know, as community service, it creates an opportunity for hope for people. And that's why I work there, that hope that
Amazing.
It holds, yeah.
So you got your master's.
Yes.
And then you went off and worked in a multicultural...
Yes, I did work for Settlement Services. It's a multicultural service provider. And I started off working with refugees and asylum seekers, so newcomers, and just helping them to settle in a foreign country, most of the times very limited English skills. And it was such a privilege to be in that space, to be able to help them to integrate and help them to enroll in school, find the paths that they needed to take, and then spent the next 11 and a half years working in multicultural foster care, where foster care service just looking for carers to care for children from culturally and linguistically diverse communities. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. We might stop it there. We'll go for another break because there's more to the story. And when we come back, we will hear more of the story from Tariro Mapfumo. Right after this. Hello, Facebook, and just checking in the just look, I've just not hung up on myself, but I've lost there we go, we're back on. If anybody's got anything they would like to drop in the thread for Tari, that'd be good. Yeah, what a turning point. It's funny how life can just suddenly go, hey you need to go here.
Yes. It's amazing. I still can't believe it, but I'm so grateful. You know, I think everybody on this earth have got a part to play somewhere, somehow. You know, and we all have a calling. Some have many callings, but we all have a calling, and we have a voice in different areas in this world. And I'm so grateful that I get to have an opportunity to share my voice in the community service space. Yeah.
I think what's really amazing in this too, like that you were in a moment, you were in a good place, like you're totally in a good place. You saw the misfortune of somebody else, and something within you went, Change, all change,
Yeah.
go and do something else.
I can't believe that happened, but I'm grateful. And you know, it's at that point in time, you question. I did question when people were saying, "You're crazy, you're gonna lose so much time. You know, you've spent 10 years in the financial industry. How can you make a decision to change and start something totally different?" Because mind you, I had to start working as a trainee when I went into community service because I had zero experience.
And back to the bottom again.
Yes, and I had zero, but I saw the bigger picture. You know, it wasn't just about that moment, it was about the future. And we're talking about it now. This is 13 years, 14 years later, we're talking about it, so yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I think a lot of people would see that situation and just go home. Not worry about it. It's not me. It's not happening to me. It's happening to them. I don't know them. They're not part of mine.
I would have lost sleep. I would have lost sleep because I know I did. I don't know that person. I probably would never meet them, you know, and unfortunately, I probably would never.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome back to Let's TV. I am Lance de Boyle, and you are Tariro Mapfumo.
Yes.
The more I say it, the more...
Practice makes perfect.
No,
You're doing really well.
Oh, thank you so much. So all of that training, all of that working in multicultural family services,
Yeah.
and then you arrived in Ballarat about, what, 4 weeks ago?
No, 9 months.
9 months ago.
Well, let's just say a year because we're getting there. The
Okay.
time is moving so fast.
Fantastic.
September came over to Ballarat.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Yeah, and thank you. And I had this amazing privilege and opportunity to start working with Child and Family Services.
CAFS, we love CAFS.
Yes,
CAFS are our
I
friends.
love CAFS. Yeah, an amazing organization, and I work there as the manager of trauma-informed practice and home-based care, and it's been an amazing opportunity to continue the work that I love, which is advocating for young people and working with carers to look after the young people that need the care. So it's been it's been an amazing 9 months, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple of years, maybe let's say a decade plus.
Yeah, look at
Yes.
you. Look at you making friends. Maybe a decade. I'll see how I feel at the time. You'll be somewhere, something will happen and go, oh, I have to go this way.
No, I'm here. I'm staying. I'm staying.
With what you do,
Yeah.
you're working with young people in need. Talk to us about the work you're doing in that area.
Okay, thank you for that. So, so foster care. So we're working with young people and children that are between the ages of 0 to 18 years that have come into the care of the minister for varied reasons. You know, sometimes it's because of neglect. Sometimes there's active domestic violence. Sometimes there's unmanaged mental health. And there could be different abuse in terms of physical abuse, sexual abuse, and there is work that happens behind the scenes where there's ways that sometimes they try and see how to keep children within families, and sometimes that's always not possible, and sometimes then they come into foster care. And when they come into foster care, it means that we would need families or individuals or people to look after the young people. So what we do within CAFS, we currently have over 100 carers that we work with, kinship and foster carers that we work with, that provide care to these young children or young people. So what it could look like, for example, it could be a sibling group. So it could be 2 little ones, it could be 1 little person, one child in a placement, and we've got carers that are able to provide like short-term or long-term, sometimes respite. So respite just means a carer would say, I'm only available on weekends, I want to help out. I want to help out on weekends. We've got young people that need a place to stay or a family to connect with on a weekend, maybe on a regular basis. So some carers do that. And some carers are able to do it for an extended time, and some carers are able to do it for a long time.
Can I just ask a question? You
Yeah.
mentioned foster care.
Yes.
But you also talked about kinship.
Kinship, yes.
Do you want to explain the difference between those two?
Okay, so with kinship carers, they're mainly related to the young people or the children that come into care. It could be related or non-related, but know each other maybe from a school setting. Maybe it's an auntie in the community, could be an extended family, an uncle, a brother, a sibling, an older sibling who's able to look after the child who's come into care. So we've got the kinship. It means it's kin, it's related, might not necessarily be blood related, but they know each other. And then there's foster care, where if I become a foster carer, so it could be just anyone from all walks of life who raises their hand and say, look, I've got a home, or whether it's rented or it's owned, doesn't matter. I've got a spare room, and I've got a commitment, I've got a willingness, and I'm over 21, and I want to be able to provide a home for a young person. So you may never know the young person, you've never met them. Maybe the first call that we do when you're approved and introduce the young person would be the first time you're hearing about this young person. So that's a foster care, so they're non-related. Yeah.
What is the process? So if somebody's watching at the moment and think, I would love to do something in my community to help change the course of some young person's life.
Yeah.
What is, like, they ring up CAFS and go, I exist.
Yeah.
What's the process?
Okay. The most first important process is what you've said. Pick up the phone and just call us or go online, because a lot of people struggle with taking the first step, just calling. Then after that, what happens, we've got brilliant practitioners that will take you through the process, whether it's the initial telephone screening, where they tell you a little bit more about foster care. So it's an opportunity to ask questions, to see if, what would work for you, with your circumstances, family dynamics, situation. Some people ask, oh, I work full time, can I be a foster carer? Yes, you can be a foster carer. Some people, they've got different, I'm single, yes, you can still be a foster carer. So that's an opportunity for our amazing team to take you through those frequently asked questions. And then after that, what we do is you complete forms. And as you know, it's quite sensitive. We're talking about looking after a young person or a child. So there is a process that we take in terms of making sure that you're a safe person. So being a safe person means we're doing your working with children check, we're doing your police check, we come and check where you live as well, we see where the young person will be sleeping, and then we do interviews. And then we also offer training as part of that. Because it's important, I guess, for our carers, potential carers, if you're listening, to know that this journey, you don't have to walk by yourself. This is a journey that we walk with you. It's quite collaborative. So we're talking about if you get approved to become a carer and there's a young person that's in your care, and I know that it can be tricky sometimes, that practitioner consistently visits the house, you organize with them, you would know when they're coming, you can call them. There's a framework as well that we use, a CAFS model of care, which is called TBRI. So it really
talks... What does TBRI stand for?
Trust Based Relational Intervention.
Okay.
So it actually helps in terms of, it talks about key areas, the underlining concepts of that. It's about relationship, connection, empowering, and it just helps us to, when we're working with our carers, knowing that we have to be connected with them, and they can also navigate how to connect with the child. And there's training that is offered, so we're not just throwing people in a situation. You get training for this TBRI, this model of care. And with that training, there's also ongoing supports. And that is offered on this carer supervision, where the practitioner comes and actually sits with you and asks, how are you? How are you doing? what can I do to help you in your role as a carer? Because we know that support is needed. There's also opportunities for sometimes, carers might require a little break, and the young person can go for respite as well. So there's different ways that support is offered, and also the department, which is our funding body, also does provide a carer allowance, which is paid to carers to help in the support for the young person.
I'm keen to understand
Yeah.
what happened, like just as an example,
Yeah.
what happens if children aren't being put into foster care or kinship care? Where are those children?
That's a very, very good question, and I really thank you for asking me that question. So part of what is called out-of-home care, we have what we call residential care. So when all avenues don't work and we haven't been able to find a foster care placement, or there's no kinship placement for a young person will end up in a residential care. So a residential care is a home that is created for young people that haven't been able to find placements, with a kinship or foster care placement, and they live in a home.
And they're designated with a worker?
Yes, and there's youth workers that come in and out. So there's different workers that come in to support the young people. And, can I share that it is a really hard space at the moment, because we're starting to see even younger kids as young as 10, 9 in residential care, which, would be really, really hard, because we're talking about young people that are still in need of a nurturing, probably a home or family setting, rather than a residential setting where we've got different young people. But I'm grateful that even in that residential setting, like even the TBRI, the CAFS model of care that we use, we still train the carers in the youth workers in those homes to be able to be responsive and nurturing for the young people in those settings. But our desire would be to have young people in foster care placements rather than in a residential placement. So we actively continue working hard to see, even for the young people that are in residential, to see how we can support them back into a foster care placement.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We need to go for a short break, but before we go for the break, I want to give you some things for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to start with this little bag from Tiny Pride. That's for you. You can take that shopping and do whatever you need to do. I actually found a badge, a Lance TV badge.
Oh, thank you so much,
that's
Lance.
For you. We have the Festival of Australian Queer Theatre coming up soon. So because you love being service to the community, here's a volunteer's handbook for you. And to cap it off, here's a photo of me saying I was on Let's TV. So there you go, that's for you.
I don't know if everyone saw it. I need to put it out so people can see. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. But we're not over yet. Don't go anywhere. But when we come back, we are going to be in the home straight of the show. So stand by, brace, brace, brace. We'll see you right after the... We hope you enjoyed our interview with Tariro Mapfumo. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a foster carer, head over to CAF's website at www.cafs.org.au/become foster carer. We'll be back after this. And we're back now on Facebook. Karen Dart is in the thread. We are foster carers with CAFS and have had the privilege of meeting with Tari. Her devotion and passion to her role is contagious, and her amazing team are very lucky to have her.
Oh, that is very lovely.
There you go. Wow.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. A shout out to you. They are amazing carers, and if we could have 20,000 of Karen and her family, that is amazing. And it's not just a devotion. One of the things that I've learned and that her family has taught me is not just about their parents that are in that home as carers, but the devotion even their own kids have as foster siblings has been amazing to watch, because I've been in that space, I've seen them, and I've probably learned more from them than I could ever share with them. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that's, I mean, that's from you telling me that. I think, Karen, that's a really sign of some wonderful parenting and upbringing too, and showing love to your own children and allowing your children to show love to other people. Yeah. 'Cause that's how it should be, really, at the end of the day. You know, one big happy family. But, and that was lovely. Thank you for tuning in too, Karen. It was lovely. Yeah. And that's just kind of one story.
There's so many more.
Yeah.
There's so many more amazing stories. Yeah.
So, but now is the moment to sort of go, hi everyone, this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Is this kind of a yearly thing, or is it just kind of like, why now?
I think, to be honest, there is an ongoing need for foster carers at the moment. I think, you know, after COVID, things went sort of a different direction.
It certainly did.
Yeah, and it's been it's a global challenge to recruit carers. But like, my name is Hope. I have hope that we've got amazing people out there that would be happy to open their home and their hearts to the young people or children.
And it's time for All Over the Shop. That's right, All Over the Shop on Lance TV. Tomorrow from 10:15, Once Upon a Rhyme, part of the Melbourne Magic Festival, down there at the Arrow on Swanston Street. The 12th of July at 3 o'clock, NAIDOC Market is happening at Federation Square. In fact, that's today, but it also is happening tomorrow. Rewarn Market in July at St Pat's Hall, Lion Street South, Ballarat Central. That's on the 20th from 1 o'clock through to 4 o'clock. On the 20th of July, Sapien Plus Site Group Art Exhibition opening at Gallery 10 at 10 Bridge Mall here in Ballarat. And on the 25th of July from 3 o'clock is the Winter Blues Festival up there at Echuca Moama. It's going to be a great time if you're into blues. On the 27th of July from 10 a.m. through till 2 is the Zineville Zine Fair 2024 over there in Inverleigh at 71 High Street, Inverleigh. The 2nd of August brings us the Goldfields Gothic Festival in Malden. That starts at 7 o'clock on the 2nd of August and goes through the whole weekend through to the 4th. On the 4th of August, Country Road plus NGV First Nations Commissions, My Country. That's at the Ian Potter Centre at the National Gallery of Victoria. The 16th of August is the Ballarat Writers Festival at the Capital in Bendigo. Great weekend there. Speaking of great weekends, the 22nd of August to the 25th of August is the Festival of Australian Queer Theatre, various venues around Ballarat. If you're on Facebook, track them down and join the page. On the 17th of September, Go TAFE double feature. It's a movie to be announced and is part of Shepparton's second annual Queer Film Jamboree. On the 10th of October is the Oz Kink Fest. Festival tickets are available, varied venues across Melbourne, October 21 to 22. And lastly, on the 14th of November, the Bacchus Marsh Strawberry and Cherry Festival is happening on the main street in Bacchus Marsh. That is Thursday the 14th of November, and that starts at 5 o'clock. And if you're tired of the same old, why don't you come out to regional Victoria and see something different? Welcome back. You're watching Let's TV. We hope you enjoyed a little whip around the state of Victoria. And, you know, as I said in that pre-record, if you're tired of the same old, pop yourself in your car and get out to the regions where we're a wonderful community of people, no matter where you go, with all interesting things happening. And that's all I got. Tari, we were talking during that journey around Victoria too, with regards to fostering or kinship.
Yeah.
A lot of our viewers are from the LGBTIQA plus community and are probably sitting there going, no, the world hates us and they're not going to, let us, look after a young person or a child. Yeah. What's the go with being a member of the rainbow community and thinking about fostering?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So CAFS, which is Child and Family Services, where I work, and where we're talking about this foster care conversation, is actually rainbow accredited. So sexual orientation does not impact into change in terms of whether you qualify to become a carer or not. So we welcome all people from all walks of life.
So gender identity is not a problem?
No, it's not a problem, because we're talking about, even in terms of diversity, the children that we're also looking after, they're from diverse backgrounds. So in fact, it actually empowers, because it gives us that diversity that we need to make sure that we can meet the needs of the kids that we're looking after, the children we're looking after. So I would be encouraging anyone listening right now to say, please go on the website, apply. We want to hear from you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask too, I needed to double back. You were talking about the CAFS model of care.
Yes.
What is that all about?
So it's a very important question, and I'm so glad we're going back to it. Because I just mentioned TBRI in passing. One of the big things that I want to acknowledge is all of the children that we work with are coming from a trauma background of some sort. So whether it's a little baby, because it could be in utero, the trauma, could be a 5-year-old, could be a 10-year-old, could be a 16-year-old. And the way that we provide care and look after the children has to have a trauma-informed approach. And our model of care is TBRI. And what that does, or what that simply means, is we've got our practitioners trained in terms of how to coach and support the carers in responding to the needs of the child from that trauma lens. So we're talking about what happened a couple of weeks ago. We had our amazing trainers that came from New Zealand to run the training for our carers on TBRI. And it provides the key foundations in terms of providing care. So initially I talked about, for example, one of the things that sometimes we take for granted, connection. You know, if we're not connecting well, it will be really hard for us to even have this conversation. And I think the big struggle that a lot of young people that have come from traumatic backgrounds is they've been disconnected from, from family, from friends, from education, from lots of things.
And that's a scary space for a young person or a child.
That is a very scary space. And I think part of what TBRI then does is it equips the carer and builds their capacity to be able to respond to that. But it has to be done through relationship building, so that connection, not just with the child, but with everyone around the child. So we're talking about with the schools, with CAFs, with health service providers. And one of the things as well that then the carer is able to do is to coach and mentor the child to just navigate that connection as well. And then we move even to empowering. Part of the work that we do in terms of TBRI, one of the elements is empowering. So, for a lot of the young people, they feel like they don't have a voice. Especially if things have happened to you and you've come into care. But the CAFS model of care really allows not just the empowering of practitioners, but for carers and for children. So we're talking about, ideally what we want to see is empowering everyone, really, in terms of how best to respond and support a child, and ultimately the child also feeling empowered. A lot of the times, I think even in my own personal life, what I've learned, and I used it, I use TBRI in my home. I've got 3 teens,
And you're living to tell the tale.
So one of the things that I've learned is I need to have a relationship with them rather than just correcting them. And this is what TBRI does.
Yeah,
Instead
right.
of just starting to just correcting a person, form a relationship with them, get to know them, who they are. It's so much easier. And correction becomes so much, it won't
focus on the
seem,
good stuff and the bad stuff will just fall away.
It will, because, if a young person feels that I am loved, I am accepted who I am, is who I am, it's going to be easy for them to look at ways in terms of how to make things different for them. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tariro Mapfumo, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
I've learned a great deal. I hope everybody who's been watching the show has learned a great deal this evening too. We will see you again next week with another wonderful guest. In the meantime, remember, be kind. See you next week.
Thanks for watching Lance TV. We'll be back same time next week. Lance TV is made possible through funding from the Community Broadcasting Foundation. I'm voiceover guy Randall Smith. See you next time.